You know, sometimes a story about one thing is really about something much, much bigger. We're going to talk about a man who climbs a tree, but what this is really about is that incredible moment when someone who feels totally invisible is finally, truly seen. It's a story of transformation, and it all starts with a guy named Zacchaeus.
So right away, we've got a puzzle on our hands. I mean, think about it. Why would a man who has everything, money, power, status, be so desperate that he's willing to do something completely ridiculous? What could possibly drive him to climb a tree in public just to get a look at a passing stranger?
All right, so let's set the scene. Just picture this. A wealthy, probably well-dressed public figure literally scrambling up a sycamore tree. It's kind of comical, right? But if you look closer, it's actually this incredible act of dedication. He doesn't care how silly he looks, he just has to catch a glimpse of this person who represents hope.
Yeah, this wasn't just some random, quirky decision. Climbing that tree was a powerful move. It was an act of absolutely incredible faith. In fact, the sermon we're drawing from says if faith were measured by effort, Zacchaeus would be taking home the gold medal, no question. So who was this guy really? And why was he so desperate? Well, he'd already climbed the ladder, the social ladder, the economic ladder. He was at the very top. But, as we're about to see, that success came with a pretty steep and very hidden cost. And here's the conflict raging inside of him. His name, Zacchaeus, literally means pure or innocent, but his reputation, it was the exact opposite. As a chief tax collector, he was seen as a traitor, a sellout, and because of that, he was completely, profoundly alone. Can you imagine living with that kind of contradiction every single day?
This one line just perfectly captures his whole situation. It's so powerful. You could just picture it. A big house, fancy things, but this hollow feeling inside. He had all the signs of success, but none of the actual joy that's supposed to come with it. And this is his motivation. This is what lights the fire. He hears whispers about this teacher, Jesus, who has a reputation for doing the exact opposite of what society does. He eats with outcasts, he talks to the people nobody else will, he sees the people everyone else ignores. For a man as lonely as Zacchaeus, that must have sounded like a lifeline.
And this brings us to the absolute heart of the story, the climax. It all boils down to one single moment, one single look. It's not about the tree, it's not about the money, it's not even really about the dinner that comes later. It's about the life-altering power of eye contact.
Okay, so picture it. The crowd is just buzzing, it's chaotic. Zacchaeus is up in the branches, probably straining to see over everybody, and then Jesus walks right up to that exact spot. You can just feel the anticipation building. And then, everything just pauses. The whole world seems to hold its breath for a second. Out of all the people there, Jesus stops, right there. And he looks up, directly at the man in the tree. The one everyone else probably pointed at and laughed. But instead of confusion or judgment, Zacchaeus finds himself the center of this teacher's complete, undivided attention. And then he says his name, Zacchaeus. Just think about that. This might have been the first time in years anyone had said his name with kindness. Not as an accusation, not with a sneer, but as a genuine invitation. The power in that small act is just immense. The sermon we're looking at describes this moment so beautifully. Zacchaeus is probably expecting a look of disgust, right? But what he gets is mercy. It's a look that doesn't see a tax collector. It just sees a man. It sees him. And this moment, right here, is the perfect definition of grace. See, it's not a reward for Zacchaeus doing something good. It's the opposite. The love and the acceptance came first. It rushed in before he said a single word, before he promised to change. And that's the whole idea.
So what happens next? Well, this is where we see the immediate, powerful result of that one moment of grace. It sets off this incredible chain reaction in Zacchaeus' heart. Let's break it down.
Just look at this flow. It's so simple, but it's all driven by emotion. He's seen, which fills him with a joy he probably thought he'd never feel again. And that joy has to go somewhere, right? It just overflows into this incredible act of gratitude and generosity. It's not a payment, it's a response.
And this is such a critical point. He isn't trying to buy his way into forgiveness or pay off some karmic debt. No, he is so overwhelmed by the feeling of being accepted, for maybe the first time ever, that he wants to be generous. This is gratitude finding its voice and bursting into action.
And you got to catch the timing here. Jesus says today, not someday, not after you've proven you're a good guy now. The transformation, the salvation, it happens right there in that moment of connection. It is immediate.
So what does this ancient story about a guy in a tree have to do with us here and now? Well, this is where we bring it home. This is about how we see and interact with the people all around us.
So let's redefine what it means to be a saint. Forget the images of perfect people with halos. According to this way of thinking, a saint is simply an ordinary person who dares to do for someone else what Jesus did for Zacchaeus. Someone who offers a gaze of grace. Someone who truly sees another person.
And we've all known people like this, haven't we? The teacher who saw your potential when no one else did. The friend who just sat with you in your grief. No words needed. These are the living saints. They're the people who lift us up with their gaze when we feel too tired to climb our own trees.
And that brings us to the core takeaway of this entire story. If you remember one thing, make it this. The miracle wasn't Zacchaeus' effort, as amazing as it was. The real miracle is that Jesus saw Zacchaeus first. It was a preemptive act of grace, the gift of being seen fully and without condition.
So we end with this question, turning it back to you. The story of Zacchaeus isn't just something to listen to. It's a call to action. It asks all of us to look around and wonder who in our own lives is up in a tree, just waiting, just hoping for someone to stop, look up, and call them by their name.